Tana, I know I shouldn't be drinking these, man. It's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. But Lil beat your ass so good to me. This is like my third or fourth one right here, brother.
I was about to tell you to pump your brakes, but you know what you can get you, man?
What?
You get you a BOGO deal.
From Paisanos?
What? That BOGO deal is the real deal.
I think you might be right. I probably need that. Put something on this, man. That's where you use the online code BOGO Pizza, right?
Yeah, man. You get you one pizza and get the second pizza for equal or lesser value for free.
I'm going to need more than that. I'm going to need me about 4, 5, 6 pizzas right now. Put something on it, baby.
Hey, you see, I'm over here, man. I might take a slice or two.
Well, what about Lil beat your ass?
His ass is whooped. Coming up on the Santana Mall Show, we talk about my trip to Miami and my visit back to FedEx Field.
And we have Erik Moses from Events DC, who's basically going to tell us what we already know. DC's off the hook, y'all.
Super Bowl, yeah, that's me. Patriots or Rams, who are you choosing?
I'll tell you who I'm betting in the game, because you know I got a little action on it, Tana, man.
Taking nails, man. Check it out. DC, the DMV, we've all taken an L today.
You ain't lying. It's cold outside, but it's warm. In fact, it's caliente for the Santana Mall Show podcast.
It's a Santana Mall Show. Number 89, hustle all the time. Travis on the right, hot mic on the left. Every single
We didn't warn you we have a theme song.
That's Shy Glizzy.
Everyone who's a guest here is always guessing who this artist is right here.
But he's hot.
He is hot. This needs to be on iTunes, right? It was Santana actually rapping that.
I thought it was Shy.
I wish.
I thought it was Shy Glizzy.
It's not me, but somebody gave me a nice theme song.
Yes.
And we definitely need it on iTunes.
We appreciate that theme song.
That's all right.
No doubt. I'm bringing ringtones back. I'm going to make it my ringtone. I'm bringing that back. It's Santana Moss Show podcast. Travis Thomas, Santana Moss, and a very special guest.
No doubt.
Erik Moses. Now, Tana, you know it's important when I had to write down a title because it's lengthy. Senior VP and Managing Director of Events DC. Erik, I will say this. I told you a little bit of this off camera, but I know 3 or 4 people that I'm tight with within the Events DC umbrella. I mean, you all are doing amazing stuff over there. You have great people working for you. So we're definitely going to get into all that through this show. But first, we'll start with the man, the myth, the legend, Santana. What have you been doing since the last time we were together, my brother?
Where is Waldo? Huh?
I mean, it's
always.
Literally with you. It's unbelievable.
I'm everywhere always.
You are.
Last week, I didn't have much going on. Only thing I did last week, I had an appearance at FedEx Field, and it was kind of odd because, I got a call and they said, hey, you want to come and do an end-of-the-year party with the game day operations crew. So I'm like, who's the game day operations? Like everyone who runs FedEx Field, for game day, they threw an end-of-the-year party for all their workers, people that greet you at the front gate, the guys that usher you down to your seats. So I'm like, sure, I love to be a part of it. And so that's what I did last week. I enjoyed the night out with them, and they gave out trophies and awards to the ones who was actually privileged enough to receive those awards for their great accommodating us, the fans and everybody else. That was one of my appearances, and then besides that, I went home to Miami. I went to see my kids. I'm in the off season now, so I find it. Last year, I was wondering why I stayed up here so much through this time of the year, but I forgot I had my oldest up here, and he was in school at Stonebridge. And so now he's in college at FIU, and I find myself sitting home, over there in Loudoun County.
Nothing but time, right?
I need to go see the kids. So I find myself now, the time that I get away from doing what I'm doing now, from either the podcast or doing other, shows, I just, take a quick flight to Miami and make sure everything's still intact. And instead of me spending the weekend, I extended it a little bit, and I came up here, late last night and made sure that I got all the time I can get in with them.
Now, what's funny is I asked him, I was like, what's the weather like in Miami? It's got to be 75. Tana, please tell the people.
57. I mean, I was in sweats riding my bike, and I'm pretty sure anybody who stayed in Kendall or ride up and down those streets off of 72nd or Kendall Drive, if you ever see a hooded guy on a bike and he's just moving just as quick as your car is moving, it's me. It's me. And I enjoy my cardio sessions because I like to include them into my workouts. I normally work out every morning, and I probably get a run in the morning, but I give myself a bonus cardio session at night, and I go out and ride the bike for either 12 to 14 miles and just try to get an hour in at least. But 57 degrees, man. And I can just imagine the whole time I'm here, I'm calling a couple of my buddies up here, and I'm like, you know, how's the weather up there? They're like, you better bring it. You better bring everything you have. I'm like, well, I came here with nothing because I knew it was going to be warm, and I was shocked, you know. So to come back to D.C. yesterday, man, I was in for a rude awakening.
It's no joke. All right, so, Erik, let's get into this because, as I said, you guys are so busy all the time, and I'm looking around, and I see, and we'll get into all this, but I see the XFL and the affiliation. I see the CAA and the affiliation, Esports, which is going nuts right now, and I see the affiliation. Let's start with the XFL because my memories of it are Vince McMahon, of course, and it was this kind of down your throat, we're going to supplant the NFL and we're going to take over and be the go-to, and it didn't work out. This time, it seems like a smarter, different approach. Why the XFL, why DC, and why Events DC?
So I think, you know, a lot of your listeners may not even remember the first iteration of the XFL back in 2001. At that time, I think it was positioned more of a competitor to the NFL, but still a springtime league. This time around, Vince McMahon, the first thing he did was hire Oliver Luck.
Yes.
Has a kid named Andrew who plays a little bit of ball.
He's pretty good.
Plays a little bit of ball.
Pretty good.
In Indianapolis. Was an EVP at the NCAA, was a athletic director at West Virginia. I mean, the man has run the NFL Europe. I mean, he knows football. So they're taking it very seriously. And this is really about extending the football season. It's not about being a competitor to the NFL. It's about, for that 90 million football fans, 45 million of which are hardcore fans who never want football, professional football to end, it doesn't have to end. Super Bowl is over. A week later, XFL starts up, and you continue to watch quality football being played in a unique way, right? They're looking to reimagine football. What they say is, and the commissioner says, let's stall more ball, right?
Yeah.
More action on the field, less idle time, you know, player safety, and the introduction of really unique technology.
I think it's genius, though, because one of the things that I do remember about the old XFL, and I'm not sure where this guy is now, but I remember he hate me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was the guy that was, you know, he had that he hate me on the back of his jersey. Yep. And I found it, you know, humorous back then watching those games and just seeing the different things that they was allowed to do. Yeah. I was a part of the NFL at the time, and I'm saying to myself, like, man, these guys getting the chance to just, you know, some of the things we see now that's been allowed in our game for the celebrations and different things like that.
Oh, they were way ahead of that.
They was way ahead of that. What I do appreciate now is no competition. It's not a competition league saying that we're trying to outdo you. You know, you can't outdo the NFL.
Yeah.
I think these guys are mafia. I call it a mafia. They mafia up to whereas you just probably, you know, allow these guys to be a part of what you're doing, but don't try to be that competitor.
That's it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Erik, but I feel as though even when you bring up like the he hate me stuff and some of the celebrations and some of the stuff we saw from the XFL, that was more gimmicky. This time around, to me, it feels more about football.
Yeah, they're going to put a quality product on the field. There are a lot of guys out there who can play high-level football if they're coached the right way and given the right resources, and that's what's going to happen this time around with the XFL. I would say he hate me. I think his name was Rod
Smart, I think.
Played for about 8 years in the league, is my understanding, after that. Santana makes a great point. The XFL kind of changed the way that we watch football.
Sure did.
Those sky cams and those cable cams above, that came from the XFL. The access for the crowd into the locker rooms and miking up players more often, that came from the XFL. There are a lot of innovations that came out of that one single season that the NFL and other sports broadcasters kind of took on as a result of the XFL. So I think you'll see that kind of technological innovation, also with some, you know, refining of the game around the edges. They've been working last month in Mississippi with 2 JUCO teams, checking out some different kind of game adjustments to some of the rules and some of the gameplay and the speed up gameplay. So and they just, I think, announced today they signed up with the Spring League to do some essentially R&D on the game to make it more appealing, especially to younger fans who want to see more action and want things to move more quickly and want to have their imagination captured.
Now, you mentioned Oliver Luck. He's the commissioner. But I'm looking at these names. I mean, Eric, you got Doug Flutie, Jim Caldwell, John Fox. Do you think this brings some credibility, especially, and you could speak to this because you're an expert on this stuff, but I would think this is a rebrand in a lot of ways. When you bring names like this in, that brings instant credibility, does it not?
It does. It does. And, you know, the head of football operations is Doug Whaley, who used to be the GM for the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, they've got some legitimate NFL and football talent throughout the league. Just hired a new president and CEO, Jeffrey Pollack, who came from the San Diego Chargers. This league will succeed because it has the right kinds of football minds in place. And I think it's going to be great. And we're happy that Washington, D.C. is one of the 8 inaugural teams to start up in February 2020.
I don't know if you've been there yet, but they'll have games at Audi Field. Have you been there yet where the United play?
No.
I mean, that field is remarkable. When I heard that the games will be there, I was fired up.
First and foremost, Santana, you should be my guest this year for a game at Audi Field with DC United. Travis is exactly right. It's a very intimate stadium. It's got 20,000 seats, but it's very close to the field. Yep. If you're not careful, you will catch a soccer ball on the side of the head. So watching football there and getting the fans closer to the field is going to be incredible.
It's going to be like a little bit of that RFK feeling then. You know, they say the RFK was one of those feelings where, you know, the fans, you can hear the rattle in the stands, great, and you felt it and everything. So that'll be pretty dope, man.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, so let's transition now to the CAA. Now, I'm a Towson Tiger. I know you're a Tar Heel. You're a Miami Hurricane. I'm going to show some Towson Tiger love in here, baby. Let's go. So I obviously have love for the CAA.
No doubt.
You guys have the CAA tournament now, right, with DC events?
So we just built a new 4,200-seat arena over on the St. Elizabeth's campus in Congress Heights, Washington, D.C., and very proud of it. Opened it up in October. Had Mary J. Blige come in and rock the house with us. And Cage the Elephant did a great show for us as well. And the CAA men's tournament was the first big announcement we made about a sporting event that's going to come there. So we'll have their men's tournament in 20, 21, and 22.
Okay.
We're actually heading down in March to check them out down in North Charleston, where they've been for the last. This will be the third year that they've been down there. DC is perfect for that conference because we sit right in the middle of their geography, which goes from Boston down to South Carolina. And with Towson and JMU and William and Mary kind of being the closer teams here, we think it's going to be really great.
CAA teams always do well in the tournament too, Tana. Just a little insight for you.
Are you saying that because you tell me?
I mean, I am biased.
Yeah.
But we do well in the tournament, man. I mean, we're not going to win the whole thing.
I'm a guy that paid attention a little bit, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a whole lot. But
we're no Tar Heels.
I know you're a betting guy too. So
yeah, buddy, we do all right. CAA does the same. So also, let's jump into esports too.
Okay.
So there's an Overwatch tournament you guys are quarterbacking here, right? I'm new to the esports world, but it's a big world, Eric.
It's a huge world.
Where does this world come from? Because I'm sitting here listening to and reading up about it. Like a couple of years ago, I would have never known this thing exists.
You know what the short answer on that is? There are more people out there who can be very, very good, even professional esports players than can do what you did.
Wow.
And that means that you literally have billions of people in a potential fan base because guys watch somebody playing League of Legends or Overwatch or Madden or 2K Live, and they go, I can do that. Like, my kids play Fortnite all the time.
Yeah, mine too.
And not that they're going to beat Ninja or any of the best players, but if you practice enough, you can get there. None of us can run a 4.2. I can't be 6'8", 270 pounds like LeBron. And I think that's why you've seen this explosion. And it's an international sport, and you can play against people all over the world from the comfort of your own home.
And that's different because, you think about it, and he just said something that really hit home with me. He said there's more guys that can do what that's been displayed on esports than what I did, as a professional player or football player. My sons, and both of them done it, but my youngest right now, Savion, I find it crazy because I remember I was just being home and we didn't allow him to play the game.
Right.
And late night I hear the game being played, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, I know I just told this joker don't play this game. I go in there and he's watching someone on the TV play the game. And I was like, I thought I told you not to play Fortnite tonight. That I'm not playing, I'm watching. So I'm sitting here saying now, I tell him and my oldest, like, look, if y'all watch football itself or whatever sport you're trying to play itself, you can get the same notes in the same game and be able to put it with your game. That's what I did. I was one of those guys that, I tell folks to this day that I wasn't just a guy that went out there and played. I watched my peers. I watched guys who I looked up to, before me, and I took a little bit and put it with me, and made it mine. And so now I'm seeing these guys, my kids, watching video gamers. Yeah. And that's why I say when I read up about esports, I'm sitting here like, well, wow, this is what my kids have been doing the whole entire time. They sitting there watching these guys go to war on Fortnite and talking about this guy who's supposed to be the Fortnite king and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here, I'm not in that world, so I'm lost when it comes down to it. But to sit up there and sit and read about it, that's professional players.
Yeah.
I was awed.
They're making real money too, bro.
Crazy.
They're making real money. So you can't get mad at your kids now. They're studying their craft.
I don't know if they're going to make some real money playing
film work.
You don't know.
Doing film work, man.
You don't know.
You never know.
Send them to Events DC. They might be the next thing.
Doing film work.
They're doing
film work. Look, if somebody would pay you to see you run routes and catch balls in practice and pay to subscribe to your YouTube channel, imagine that. And that's what's happening in esports. And, we're happy to be able to support the Washington Justice, which is the new Overwatch team that belongs to DC. Overwatch is the only esport that is going to a traditional sports model where the teams will play in home venues in cities.
Okay.
Because I didn't mean to cut you off. How is these teams formed?
So you have owners that go out and find the best players in the world and try to sign them on their team.
Best gamers.
The best gamers. A lot of them come from Asia and Europe, but we've got a lot in the U.S. as well. And right now they're playing at Blizzard Arena.
How do they get their scouting report? I'm just curious. Like, how do you find out who's the best gamers? Like, what kind of scouting report you follow, or do you have to actually see these guys play live, or what is it?
It's a whole ecosystem. It's a great question. There's a whole ecosystem. One of the easiest ways is, frankly, just like your kids are playing Fortnite, you can see who the better players are, because they usually have their own streaming services and channels,
and
you can
that,
see.
right.
Like, that's how Ninja got to be the biggest and best known.
That's the name that my son talks about.
That's who he's watching.
Dude's got Visa commercials. He just did a Super Bowl ad.
Damn.
He got Red Bull signed him as an endorser.
Crazy.
I mean, these guys are making millions of dollars in some instances.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome though.
Did I miss my calling?
I know. I heard it's
all
going to be.
All those years of playing Mario Brothers, I didn't get. They didn't add up all the stuff. My stats.
They're considering making this an Olympic sport. I swear to God, I
couldn't have been a Donkey Kong champ.
I was the Mario champ, man. You hear me? I raced home from school to play Mario Brothers. My mom used to kick my behind. Boy, you didn't do that homework. I'm sitting there. I got to stage 8. Boy, hey. I missed my calling, man.
Let me ask you this. When people outside of the market think of DC, they obviously think politics, right? But what I love about Events DC is you guys are really honing in on sports big time. And can you speak to that from your position of DC as a sports town and why Events DC has really aligned with the sports culture here in the city?
Yeah, so we are the official convention and sports authority for the city. Our job, really easily to describe it, is our job is to sell the city for all things event related, whether that's a convention or a meeting or trade show at the convention center, or it's a sporting event, entertainment event, concerts, international friendlies at RFK or at Audi Field. And so our mayor likes to say she wants D.C. to be the sports capital of the United States. And we have a bad reputation, like other towns, for not being a great sports town. And the way that trope goes is D.C. is a transient town. People come here from all over the country for a little while. They work on the Hill. They do whatever. They come with their own allegiances, and then they leave. Well, I know plenty of people who are 3rd, 4th, 5th generation, have been here, love these teams, and then there are new residents coming in, 1,000 new residents a month for the last 5 or 6 years moving into D.C., especially millennials, who love this city, man. You see the stars and bars everywhere now. Yeah. People got it tattooed on their arms, they're wearing T-shirts and everything. And we think with the introduction of a new XFL team and a new Overwatch team, folks are going to be able to embrace those teams, because I got here at the same time this team started up. I wasn't here when the Redskins started, but just like Nats fans and DC United fans, those were new franchises, and people rallied around those, So we're excited. Our job is to sell the city and to sell the sports community, and it makes me happy every day to get up and be able to do that.
How much did the Stanley Cup changed things for this area as a sports town?
It helped a lot, man, because the last big championship was '92 with the Redskins, right? And so, I will say, I drove up straight from Chapel Hill after the game was over with my boys all the way to D.C. to get here to see what was happening on the streets, and it was a very different city than it is now. Let me just, I'll just stop there and say it's a very different city. But that parade was great. I got a chance to ride on one of the open-top buses with the mayor and other folks, and to see the streets lined with people rocking the red. Many of whom I'm sure weren't even hockey fans, but were out there because everybody wants to be a winner, right? And be associated with a winner. So
I even felt it, man. I mean,
I know you were on it.
I was excited, man. I was ecstatic because, you sit here as a player and you want to bring a championship to this team. I mean, to this city. And like I said before, in my wildest dreams, I would never believe that I can walk these streets and people give me so much praise of what I've done, and I didn't do anything. To me, I played a sport that it was a team sport that you have to you actually recognized for your individual accolades, but you're more recognized for Super Bowls.
Right.
I see more guys now that they parade around not because he was a hell of a individual player. He won a Super Bowl. Yeah. And you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. So being a guy that I went out there and handled my business, yes, I took pride in everything I did. I represent my family name and my team name well, and the city that I rep. And to not have a championship to follow, I felt like it was a letdown. So, I've always had that in the back of my head is that, it was, to me, a failure, my stint here. But I appreciate the fans who recognize and saw what I was worth by how I gave my heart to what I did. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And so when I hear you speak about how we want this to be, we are basically, we can be everything that you just said. We can be the capital. We can be the capital in sports here because you have the diehard fans that's willing to go out there and back you regardless of what it is. Now, we can talk all day about how the fans feel about the Redskins right now, but to see what the Caps did, to see what the Nats have been trying to do, and how close they have gotten. You know what I mean?
United.
We need more of that, and that's why I'm knocking on wood every night and hoping these skins can really shake the bug because it's only a bug. They have the players. You have to find the right coaches and the right people, a couple more guys here and there. So this city is just waiting. They're waiting for explosion of all these different, sporting, teams to really go out there and be successful because the city is really set up to be that.
D.C. is off the hook. And now here's one thing. There is a tie to D.C. with the Super Bowl coming up. Sean McVay, head coach of the Rams, was right here in our grasp. He was right here, Eric. We let him get away. He's the one that got away, right? He's the one that got away. Now he's leading the Rams. Here we are. Tana, for you specifically, when you see Sean McVay on the sideline for the Rams in the Super Bowl, for God's sakes, what goes through your mind? We had him, Tana.
Yeah, what goes through my mind is that, wow. That's how close we were as a team in Washington, having somebody that we watched every day, that I saw his potential day one, being a young guy. It's 24 years old when I met him, and the way he talked in our meeting room, he was an assistant receiver coach. And I remember that year vividly because I think we had Keenan McCardell, which a guy who I played with. I watched him being a Floridian, coming up in Miami, watching him with the Jacksonville Jaguars with Mark Brunell.
He coaches now too, doesn't he?
And now he coaches. Yeah, he coaches. He coached in Maryland. He coached at Jacksonville now. And I remember him being my receiver coach after just playing a couple of years prior with him as a receiver. And he's the receiver coach, and he's kind of learning something new like me. This offense is new to him just as well as it's new to me. And I remember, having an assistant, Sean McVay, in there, and he spoke up one day. And I'm sitting there, and I turn around, and I say, Keenan, give me a minute. Say what you said again, Sean. And Sean broke it down to me as if I was a 5-year-old, step by step, to make me understand what Keenan was trying to tell us, which – no hard, I don't want to, put none on Keenan because he's learning the same way I'm learning it. I understood it more.
Wow.
And I guess me being the guy in the room, being the veteran, being the elder, everyone else kind of listening to me. And Sean was like, you know what, I appreciate you. Sean stepped to me after that meeting and was like, man, I appreciate you allowing me to speak because now everyone else is going to have to hear hear what I have to say. And I'm like, no, regardless of who you are, what level, what's your status, how old are you, doesn't mean nothing. You can put my kid in your position. If you're my coach, I have to listen because you have something to give me. And I say, if I can take it, then they can take it. And that's the way he felt. And before you know it, man, this man was giving us Jews, dropping Jews every day. I remember sitting in those meetings, and I'm just sitting there like, he was filling my left ear up because he was sitting on that side, and I'm sitting there like, man, like I can't go wrong in practice because he's breaking this thing down in a way that you wanted it broke down. I don't care how much you know. He broke it down to the where that even if you didn't know the game, you was going to learn that day. And to see him where he's at right now, I just feel like we missed out. We missed out on something that we could have had.
So, Eric, on one side of it, you see a prodigy, right? A boy genius in Sean McVay. But, Eric, on the other side of that field now, Bill Belichick is no slice of bologna either.
No doubt.
Who do you like in this game?
I don't bet against TB12.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, after watching that Atlanta Super Bowl with the buddy from Boston who at halftime literally was ready to turn the television off, and I said to him, "Is Tom Brady still playing? Is he going to play in the second half? Because if he is, that means you have an opportunity." Yeah. And obviously they made the most of that. I just don't bet against those guys, man. It's a machine, and I'm a little tired of it. I don't mind dynasties, but I prefer it be my team that establishes the dynasty.
Of course.
But I wouldn't bet against him. I think what McVay has done with LA is fantastic. It's well timed given the $2+ billion stadium that they're building out in LA, or stadium complex they're building.
Timing,
yeah, but I want the Skins to be good because we need them to be good as part of this kind of sports ecosystem. And maybe McVay would have been able to do that here, but maybe not. He's got a pretty good quarterback out there. He's got a guy named Sue and a guy named Donald.
Yes.
And Aaron Donald is doing things that nobody has done in a very long time.
No question. Todd Gurley isn't bad.
Todd Gurley's not bad. It's a different team, so you never know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I ask you this.
That's fair.
Is it a coincidence that our local football team has not been very successful since they left the District of Columbia? I'll just let that linger. And
what
is
I've
it a
been
coincidence?
saying,
May the congregation say amen.
What I've been saying, we need to find our way back.
Yeah.
I feel like those old guards are sitting there waiting to
You've been saying that.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's odd. It's odd because, I was a part of a team in New York where I was the New York Jets. We was based in Long Island, and we played in New Jersey at Giant Stadium. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure they probably played over there for years. But I just found it odd to be making that travel to Long Island, not really being a part of New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt like we was on the outskirts. And then I get here, I'm here in Washington. So all I've ever heard of in Washington was RFK. When I got here in 2005, I had no clue about FedEx Field. Even though I played there before, I never knew what the field was called because when you're on the opposite side of the field, you don't care where you're playing at, what stadium you're playing at. You're just playing Washington Redskins. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I got accustomed to saying, okay, we're based in Ashburn, Virginia, and we're making this trip to Maryland, in Landover, Maryland, but we're the Washington Redskins. Hold on, what I'm missing?
Right.
So to see how we've been as a team, this especially from my 2005 year getting here to now, 2018 just passed, and now we're in 2019, something missing. Mm-hmm. And I've been hearing the whispers about we need a new stadium. I've been hearing whispers about where should we build this new stadium. Unless you're gonna knock down RFK and rebuild it, there's no other place. Unless you're gonna, whatever you're gonna do, upgrade to that's no better place. Bring it back to DC. Bring it back home. Bring it back where the fans that beloved us, and even these fans that find they were not to come into our games, give them something to come to. Give them something to really say, now I want to be a part of what you have going on because now you're catering to us. I feel that we have so much going on here, and as a Redskin, these people are pouring out money, you name it. They're hard, everything. Their commitment for years, and we haven't given them nothing back.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to give something back and not look for nothing in return. At the end of the day, all we could do is win. Yep. And give them something that they can really, be prideful about and hold their heads high about. So what he just said hit home because I've been saying for years, man, I think that's missing. We need to find our way back to D.C.
I agree.
Well, we'd like there to be more Washington in the Washington Redskins.
Yes. I second that notion on both of you. All right, so he's going Patriots. I'm going Patriots. What are you doing for the Super Bowl? Patriots, Rams. Don't get offended.
You asking me about who I'm riding with? Because
Drake.
I mean, no, honestly, man, I've been wrong all year, all postseason. I've been wrong, and I just find it odd, man. I'm sitting in between things because I care less about who win or lose. I do have a little favorite when it comes to Sean McVay being there, and I would love to see him, really sit and hold that trophy high. Then I will find it odd to not see Belichick them do what they do. I mean, last year was odd to me, but I wanted them to be in them shoes last year. I just wanted the NFC East to really have a chance to really say that, we're not who they thought we were,
Right.
And for the Eagles to do what they did last year, I was proud of that. But to see these guys back again with everything that transpired through this year and not to think that they can bring it home, it'll be odd. So I found myself sitting in the same spot I found myself all postseason. Who I say is going to win doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm going to ride with, like he said, TB12 because I feel like they just do things the right way, regardless of who you present to them, whether it's going to be the best offense, the best defense. Now, I do say this with the Rams. They have more to worry about than just a high-powered offense. New England Patriots have to worry about Donald and Sue. You said that. That rush is going to be tremendous, especially in the interior where Tom loves to step into. Another thing, you have Talib out there that won a Super Bowl against these guys, and he knew what it took. And also Wade Phillips, who won a Super Bowl against these guys, who he know what it takes. So unless these guys hitting on all cylinders on the defensive side, and when I say all cylinders, I mean that pass rush is being effective, those guys out there pressing those receivers, making sure it's hard for those guys to get open, double teaming guys that need to be double teamed because you saw in that game last week or 2 weeks ago, the Los Angeles Chargers didn't double team guys when they needed to in critical situations. They could have easily been in the Super Bowl right now if they double team Edelman. You knew he was going to this guy, him or Gronk. So if you don't do what's need to be done against these guys, they're going to find a way to beat you. And that's why I find it hard to go against them. Now, like I said before, do I want Sean McVay to win? Yes, because I feel like it's something that, will really be pleasant about that, just seeing this guy in his second year bring a championship back to Los Angeles when the whole reason of bringing this team back is to bring that flavor or that vibe back, you know what I mean, to Los Angeles, to L.A. Yeah. That's why the Lakers are who they are, bringing LeBron back because they need that. L.A. without Shaq, Kobe, without somebody like LeBron isn't L.A., you know what I mean? They need that star power. So to see these guys in that seat, to have this chance to bring a championship back this premature in his career as a head coach there, man, it would be great. But it's hard to go against those Patriots.
Yeah, so all three of us, I think it's fair to say, with our hearts, would like to see the Rams win. But with our brains, we're all picking the Patriots. In fact, I took a little trip to the sports book, gentlemen. In this packet, as you see, it's very thick, Eric, here. It's like an encyclopedia. All money lines, spreads, prop bets, you name it. My bets for this game, gentlemen, I did points. I did the first half under, which was like 28 points. I think it'll be like a heavyweight fight. I think they'll feel each other out at first. Could be low scoring in the first half. Second half, fireworks. So I took the over of the total points, which was 58.
In the second half?
In the entire game, it's 58, okay, which is a Super Bowl record. Now, it's come down a little bit since, but I got it at 58. So I think there'll be a lot of points.
How much did you bet on? How much did you wager on that?
We're not going to go into that. And then I also
See, I like to go big, man. I want to know because I want to go ahead and jump on your bandwagon. I'm jumping on your coattail.
We can do that. I would say you'd probably have a little more to put on it than I will, but that's another conversation for another day. I also took a Tom Brady rushing. This is the only prop I did. Tom Brady rushing touchdown. So I think a QB sneak. I got it at really good odds. They used to do it a lot. They haven't done it in a long time because they got 19 running backs on the Patriots, and you don't know who's going to run the ball any given game.
James White, I think if they
I like that bet.
But I think if they get within the 1 yard line,
I like that.
Belichick pulls all the stops out for the Super Bowl. I can see Brady with a sneak, the little over the top. Yeah, that pays out well. So that's what I did there.
And I might change if they go with the Eric Dickerson uniforms. I might switch it up. Those other uniforms. Yeah, I just don't like, man. Give me the Dickerson one.
I'm with you on that.
I definitely don't like the St. Louis Rams uniform. So I was hoping that when they got to L.A., they just were done with those uniforms, and I've seen that they found their way out of those.
I like the Dickersons.
I thought it was going to be more of the white Ram logo
Yeah.
on the helmets, and they kind of played with that a little bit this year. But the Dickerson uniforms,
No doubt.
That was L.A. That was L.A. Rams.
No doubt. Taking L's this week, we all took them. Not just us three. All of us took L's this week because of this cold weather. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on. Can we just get to the spring or the summer already, for God's sake?
We could be in Chicago, -51.
You're right, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet. We just in January still. We've barely got out of January.
I just can't.
I found out last year that it's March or February, March when it really gets critical here when it comes to the winter. So, trust me, more trips to Miami for me.
No doubt. I might be with you on those.
I'm hiding your suitcase.
Eric Moses, Events DC. Tell people where they can go and find out more information and be a part of the movement, really.
Absolutely. EventsDC.com is our website. You'll find all the information about all our events coming up. And remember, 2020 is going to be a big year for DC Sports. With Overwatch, CAA, XFL, it's going to be a really big year.
No doubt.
This duo need to be a part of it.
We got to be a part of it, Eric.
Let's figure it out.
We got to be a part of it,
Let's figure it out. I think we can do it.
No doubt. Match made in heaven. That's the way I see it. Santana Moss Show podcast. It's a Rizap.
It's a Santana Moss Show. Number 89. Hustle all the time. Travis on the right. Hot mic on the left. Every single